Power isn't taken, it's given. This is the first truth they never teach you. We live in a world obsessed with democracy, equality, and freedom. Yet beneath the surface, the same ancient mechanisms grind forward, unchanged since the Renaissance, unchanged since Rome. Niccolò Machiavelli understood something most refuse to acknowledge. He saw that morality and power operate on different planes. That influence isn't about being good, it's about being effective. Today, we strip away the comfortable lies. We examine the machinery of control, not to become tyrants, but to see clearly. Because those who refuse to understand power will always be subject to it. The question isn't whether you'll play the game. You're already playing. The question is whether you'll play consciously or remain a piece on someone else's board. Welcome to the Machiavellian mindset. Here's what Machiavelli knew. People want to be led, not because they're stupid, but because certainty feels safer than chaos. A strong hand feels more secure than their own judgment. This is the paradox at the heart of all human societies. We claim we want freedom, but watch what we actually do. We surrender authority to experts, to leaders, to anyone who speaks with conviction. We trade autonomy for the comfort of not having to decide. The Machiavellian sees this clearly. Power flows to those who project certainty, even when they possess none. Consider this. In The Prince, Machiavelli wrote that it's better to be feared than loved, but he was more nuanced than that. What he really said was this: if you must choose, choose fear. Because love is fickle. People love you until they don't. But respect, mixed with measured fear, creates stability. Modern leaders understand this instinctively. They don't rule through affection. They rule through necessity. They make themselves indispensable. The moment you need someone more than they need you, you've already lost. People want to be led, but only by those who seem to need them least. This is the cruel arithmetic of influence. Desperation repels. Indifference attracts. The leader who appears self-sufficient magnetizes followers. The one who begs for support repels them. Why? Because we're tribal animals. We follow strength. We abandon weakness. 10,000 years of evolution didn't wire us to follow the vulnerable. They wired us to follow whoever increases our odds of survival. Machiavelli didn't invent these rules. He simply had the courage to write them down. Control isn't about force, it's about belief. The most effective forms of power are invisible. Physical dominance is crude, temporary. It requires constant energy. But psychological control? That runs on autopilot. Machiavelli understood that the appearance of power matters more than power itself. In The Prince, he wrote that a leader must be a great pretender and dissembler, not because lying is virtuous, but because perception shapes reality. Think about it. What controls you right now? Not chains, not walls. Ideas do. Beliefs about what's possible, what's acceptable, what others will think. The Machiavellian doesn't imprison the body. He architects the boundaries of acceptable thought. Here's how it works. First, establish the frame. The frame is the invisible boundary of what's considered normal, reasonable, or possible. Whoever controls the frame controls the conversation. Whoever controls the conversation controls the decision. Watch a skilled manipulator in a corporate meeting. They don't argue loudly. They ask questions that contain assumptions. The real question is whether we can afford not to do this. See what happened? The frame shifted from "should we" to "can we afford not to?" The decision was made before the debate began. Second, create dependence. Machiavelli advised princes to avoid being hated, but also to avoid making others too powerful. Why? Because the moment your allies don't need you, they become threats. In modern terms, think about platform dependency. Why do people stay on social media they claim to hate? Because their network is there. Their audience is there. Leaving means losing access. The platform controls through connection, not coercion. Third, manage information asymmetry. Those who know more control more. Machiavelli advised keeping your plans close and your reasoning closer. In our age of total transparency, this seems outdated. It's not. The most powerful people and institutions still operate behind curtains. They reveal results, not methods. They share conclusions, not deliberations. Information is power, and power is rarely shared willingly. But here's the deeper mechanism. Control works because people police themselves. Give them the rules, then step back. They'll enforce the boundaries on each other, and eventually, on themselves. This is why ideology is more powerful than force. An idea that takes root becomes self-perpetuating. The prisoner who believes his cell is the world stops trying to escape. Machiavelli wrote, "Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are." This might be his most useful insight. Your reality doesn't matter. Their perception of your reality does. In the Renaissance, this meant carefully managing your reputation through symbolism, ceremony, and calculated displays of virtue or strength. Today, we have a different stage, but the play remains the same. Consider social media. It's a perception engine. People don't post their lives. They post the narrative they want others to believe. The carefully filtered reality becomes more influential than the messy truth. But the Machiavellian doesn't just manage perception defensively. He weaponizes it. How? By understanding that people don't respond to you. They respond to their story about you. If they see you as dangerous, they'll treat you with respect or avoidance. If they see you as weak, they'll test boundaries. If they see you as indispensable, they'll accommodate you. Your job isn't to be something. It's to appear as the thing that serves your purpose. Machiavelli advised appearing merciful, faithful, humane, religious, and upright. Not necessarily being these things, but appearing to embody them. Because humans judge by outcomes and appearances, not by inner virtue they can't see. This sounds cynical. It is. But cynicism is just realism that offends. Here's the practical application. Every interaction is a performance, not in a fake way, but in a strategic one. The question is always, what do I want them to believe about me after this conversation? Do you want to be seen as agreeable, mysterious, competent, dangerous? Each requires different signals. The amateur is authentic, which means unpredictable and unstrategic. The Machiavellian is consistent, which means he's authored a character and plays it deliberately. And here's the twist. People want to be manipulated by perception. They want the illusion. They want the polished version. Authenticity makes them uncomfortable. It reminds them that they too are performing. So give them the performance they expect, and they'll give you the response you need. Control the narrative, and you control the relationship. Let's address it directly. The word manipulate offends the weak, but the strong call it strategy. Why does manipulation have such negative connotations? Because it implies someone got what they wanted, and you didn't realize you were being steered. But here's the uncomfortable truth. All social interaction involves influence. Persuasion is manipulation with better branding. Leadership is manipulation with institutional approval. Parenting is manipulation with love as the motive. Machiavelli never pretended otherwise. He wrote for princes who needed to maintain power in a world of constant threat. His advice was surgical, not moral. Do what works. Avoid what doesn't. Moralize later if you survive. The modern version looks different, but functions identically. Every advertisement is manipulation. Every political speech. Every negotiation tactic. Every time someone uses social proof, scarcity, or authority to influence your decision, you're being manipulated. The difference between manipulation and influence. mostly how you feel about the outcome. If you wanted to buy the product anyway, it was persuasion. If you realize later you were steered, it was manipulation. But the techniques were identical. The Machiavellian doesn't judge this. He accepts it. And once you accept that influence is everywhere, you face a choice: remain unconscious and be influenced, or become conscious and learn to influence. Here's what Machiavelli would say: the moral person who refuses to use power doesn't reduce the world's manipulation. He simply ensures he'll be the victim of someone else's. Power doesn't disappear when good people refuse it. It concentrates in the hands of those with fewer scruples. So the ethical question isn't, should I understand influence? It's, what will I do with that understanding? This is where modern Machiavellianism diverges from pure amorality. You can understand the mechanics of power and choose to use them ethically. You can influence without exploitation. You can lead without deception. But you must first be willing to see clearly. And seeing clearly means acknowledging that everyone, including you, is already in the game. To master others, first master how they see you. This has been the thread throughout. Power isn't about domination. It's about positioning. It's about understanding that humans are predictable, perception shapes reality, and those who see the game have an overwhelming advantage over those who pretend it doesn't exist. Machiavelli's insights remain relevant because human nature hasn't changed. We still fear and love. We still follow strength and abandon weakness. We still prefer comfortable lies to uncomfortable truths. The Machiavellian mindset isn't about becoming a villain. It's about becoming clear-eyed. It's about recognizing that power dynamics exist whether you acknowledge them or not. You can be naive and moral and watch others shape your life. Or you can be strategic and intentional and maintain agency over your own path. The choice, as always, is yours. But ignorance isn't innocence. It's just unprepared victimhood. Machiavelli wrote The Prince as a manual for maintaining power in a hostile world. We can read it as something else: a mirror held up to human nature, a reminder that beneath our civilized surface, the old rules still apply. Those who understand this don't need to manipulate everyone. They simply stop being manipulated by anyone. And perhaps that's the real power: not control over others, but sovereignty over yourself. The game of power never ends. It only changes players. The question is, will you be a piece, or will you play?